Hello everybody, my name is Christian, and with another update around the corner, it's time to talk about who you should pull in version 3.8 of Honkai Star Rail. Now this version is admittedly not quite what we expected. I am in no way educated enough to speak on what's going on properly, so long story short, big political things are happening, and it affects Hoyoverse. As a result of this, version 3.8 will be much longer than a standard update, adding about 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, to the overall length. We've actually ended up with, for the first time in history I believe, 3 ongoing banner phases. These will feature the new character, the Dahlia and Firefly up first, then Fugue and Lingsha, and lastly, Aglaea and Sunday? Yeah, that one doesn't quite make sense to me with everything else being related to Break, but you know what? We started 3.x with Aglaea as our first Flame Chaser. There is no more fitting way to end than with Aglaea as our last. With that said, let's get into it. Let's pause real quick and take a brief word from our sponsor, LD Shop. With so many good characters coming out soon, many players simply don't have the jades they need to get them all. Now if only there was a cheaper way to get top-ups for games like Star Rail and ZZZ. Well, that's where the sponsor of the video comes in, LD Shop. LD Shop is a safe and reliable top-up site for all your favorite games. They offer top-ups at a more affordable price than in-game, and can even activate your first top-up bonus if you haven't used it already. All you have to do is click the bundle you want, put in your server and UID, and your top-up will appear in-game shortly after. If you buy using my link as well, you can get a 5% and 15% coupon good for $50. Last but not least, if you consistently use LD Shop and spend over $80 for the month, you can get an Express Supply Pass completely free on your homepage. Use the link in the description or the pinned comment. Thank you so much to LD Shop for sponsoring. Let's get back to the video. Before we begin here, I would like to quickly go over the lack of drip marketing. With the way the game has been affected, I don't think we'll be learning about new characters anytime soon. It's unfortunate since some people really rely on these announcements to plan their pulls out, but hey, that's simply where we're at. Without much confidence, the only thing I can say is there was a special teaser at the end of Amphorius. Sparkle was hinted to be a very relevant part of the upcoming story, so if you're a fan of her, might be best to hold those pulls just in case. That's about all I can offer without diving into a lot of unreliable leaks. Hopefully we get the drip marketing soon, but in the meantime, we still have plenty of characters to touch on right now. Let's start with the premier inclusion of this update, the child of Duke Inferno that can make a straight woman start questioning, the Dahlia. The Dahlia, who I will also refer to as Constance, is a Fire Nihility 5-star. She's an upcoming character in the story after being teased about a year ago, and she will serve as the resurrection of the Super Break meta. This meta is one of the overall favorites of players everywhere, with Firefly being by far one of the most pulled for characters in HSR history. Boothill and Rappa, while not quite as popular, are still incredible units who will benefit just as much from Constance as Firefly will. Well, maybe not as much, but they're still incredible characters, and they will have scenarios where they are way better. That's the beauty of Break, folks. You can play any of these characters and still have at least some fun. Let's get back to Constance though. She has a kit that breaks every rule initially set in stone with Super Break, which is basically the motto of Star Rail nowadays. Let's start with her skill, which is the driving force behind her kit. Her skill is called Lick. Wait, hold on. What do you mean it's actually just got Lick in the title? Lick, Enkindled Betrayal. Upon using this, the Dahlia will cast a zone on the field. This zone will deal damage upon casting and will be active for 3 turns. While the zone is up, allies will have increased weakness break efficiency and will be able to deal super break damage to unbroken enemies. What? This fundamentally goes against everything super break is, and it's genuinely hard to process that. The Dahlia can straight up nullify the break in Super Break. It no longer has any effect on the teams. The only thing more insane than this is the face she makes during her ult. Sorry, I really like this character. This zone is unbelievably powerful, and is basically something no other character in Star Rail can do, already making Constance an incredibly powerful character. Let's move on to her talent, Who's Afraid of Constance? When a battle begins, Constance will make one lucky character's dreams come true, appointing them as her dance partner. When the dance partner attacks, 2 things will happen. First off, Constance will always launch a follow-up attack at the enemy the dance partner hits. This deals bounce damage and can contribute additional toughness reduction to the target. If the enemy is already weakness broken, Constance will also deal an additional instance of super break damage whenever the dance partner attacks. Pretty simple, but ultimately, it adds a nice chunk of extra damage for most characters. It's like doing the tango with a partner, adding in a spin every now and then. Except the spin is death to your enemies. Kinda based. We can now move on to her ultimate, Wallow Entombed Ash. This attack will do damage, lower the defense of all enemies, and will actively apply the weakness type of her dance partner. Not much to say here, this just works perfectly. Fugue's ability to break anything has become far less essential with this change, making it so that any character can break anything you want them to, without any loss in toughness reduction. That is simply incredible. And you know what? We still aren't done. The last thing of note is one of Dahlia's traces. This one, however, is pretty much built specifically with Firefly in mind. When any ally implants a weakness, their speed is increased. That is extremely cool and very helpful for break characters who all rely on being very fast. However, if a fire character implants a weakness, that character will also regenerate energy. This is very much just made for Firefly and probably some future character we aren't thinking about right now. With the favoritism out of the way, the main point of this trace is still accessible to other characters, and that's really all I'm concerned with. This kit overall is super fun and feels like the resurgence break has been waiting for. As a Firefly fan, and more importantly, someone who loves Fugue, this is an absolutely beautiful thing to see. You should pull the Dahlia if you have any of Boothill, Rappa, or Firefly on your account. She is an incredible support and has some sort of synergy with all of them. Boothill getting 2 full breaks with Fugue and the potential to do his normal damage at all times is a horrifying thought as one of the best boss stompers in the game. For Rappa, she has no implant and as a result suffers the most when off element. Dahlia fixes that heavily, while also giving Rappa a lot of increased damage that, unlike Boothill and Firefly, she only gets from teammates and relic sets. Constance is a character who is going to rip apart the meta heavily, and I cannot recommend her enough to all my break fans out there. Now we can finally begin our wave of reruns, and man, there is a lot to talk about here knowing what we know. The next character up to plate is the chronically ill destroyer of worlds herself, Firefly. Firefly is a fire destruction character released in version 2.3, and my lord, it is so nice to finally have some positives to say about her. With the release of the Dahlia, many of Firefly's issues or shortcomings get solved a fair bit. Would I have preferred a buff for the character? Immensely. Will I live either way? Yes. So what exactly does Firefly do? Firefly is a break character who relies on her ultimate to do most of her damage. This isn't in the same way as someone like Acheron or Fei Xiao, however. Firefly has a transformation ult, which enhances her skill and basic attack to way stronger versions. When enhanced, you have a set amount of time until you fall out of this form, so you have to start doing as much damage as you can, as fast as you can. Luckily, your ult form comes with a few enhancements to help you out. When using skill, Firefly does more toughness reduction, and will implant fire weakness on the enemy. She's also capable of dealing toughness reduction regardless of enemy weakness type, so you won't lose much value on non-fire weak enemies. The biggest areas where Firefly falls is from SP consumption and uptime. Similar to Rappa, Firefly struggles when she's not using her enhanced attacks. When exiting your ultimate form, it takes at least 2 skills usually to bring you back to max energy. This wastes a lot of time, and simply isn't that fun to deal with. As for SP consumption, not using enhanced skill every attack is really bad for Firefly. The limited timer combined with much less damage and toughness reduction, I'm sure you can see the issue there. While I like Firefly a lot, she definitely has a lot of issues nowadays, and the lacking damage compared to the massive HP pools is a huge part of that. With the Dahlia as part of her best team now though, players should see a pretty nice resurgence for any level of Firefly team. You should pull Firefly if you like break and need a DPS for it. Considering Boothill last reran in 3.0, and every other break unit is a 4-star, you really don't have many options sadly for true break units. Anexa can technically substitute, but he will still be far better alongside Cyrene and Ceridra. As for Rappa, Rappa isn't a real character. She's just a collective figment of our imagination. Let go. The accident was 4 years ago. So yeah, pull Firefly if you don't have a break DPS. That concludes the first banner of version 3.8. So now, let's move on to the characters and light cones available. On this banner, players can get Gallagher, Luca, and March 7th. So basically, 2 useless characters, and Gallagher. I know someone out there will be upset about me not really covering these characters, but there isn't much to say, man. Honkai Star Rail 4 stars simply aren't that good in most cases, and that applies heavily to Luca and March 7th preservation. Luca has a few niche instances of being able to be a decent DPS, but those are very few and far between without heavy investment on your part. As for March 7th, yeah, just get Evernight if you love the character, that's all I can say. Gallagher is the only character here with some true value. He is one of the better healers in HSR and offers extreme utility, constantly providing skill points for the team with his unique kit. He definitely isn't a perfect character as some people will tell you, but he has high enough value to warrant pulling on this banner at least a little bit. Ideally, get him to about E4 before you call it. This is a massive boost for him and should make your life far easier. Now, let's take a look at the light cones, and honestly, these aren't awful choices. We have one useless cone and Concert for 2, but we also have the Nihility cone, Good Night Sleep Well, which increases damage taken by a healthy amount, and the Harmony cone, Memories of the Past, increasing break effect and restoring a bit of energy for the wearer. All in all, solid cones, but it's unfortunate that the Dahlia won't really make use of the Nihility cone much. HMC and Ron May can use Memories of the Past as a good cone, but in most cases, Dance 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 will probably be better. Alright, that's phase 1 done, and it only took, oh my god, I'm at the end of page 3 already. Jesus Christ, just take me out back now, viewer. Well, let's hope the next phase won't take quite as long to get through. Our next character to talk about is my favorite character in Star Rail, the Foxian beauty herself, Fugue. Fugue is a Fire Nihility character released in version 2.7. She was the last big buff to Super Break, and now she serves as a perfect complement piece to the Dahlia if you have both of them. Let's talk about what she actually does. Fugue's usefulness revolves around 3 things. 1, she makes it so that allies will always deal Super Break damage while she's on the field. This was a massive boost to Super Break, which before was limited by Harmony MC using Ultimate. Her second big mechanic is her skill. When she uses her skill on an ally, this grants that ally the ability to break anything, and increases their break effect on top of it. This was easily one of the biggest additions to Star Rail, and allowed for characters who were never designed to be Super Break characters to become just that. The final mechanic for Fugue is a pretty damn fun one. Fugue gives enemies a second toughness bar that is much smaller than the first, making it so that you can break every enemy twice and get the benefits of breaking, meaning more damage for every character, but for Boothill and Rappa, this contributes to their core mechanics. Add on to all of this the ability to reduce enemy defense with her enhanced basic attack, and an ult that can reduce the toughness of all enemies, and it makes sense why Fugue is the all-in-one package when it comes to making any break character work. She even has eidolons that actually make a character like Ron May more replaceable, although it was still highly recommended to run them together for full value. Fugue is an essential part of the break meta, and she is a massive best-in-slot character for all 3 main break DPSs. With the arrival of the Dahlia, I can't wait to see her shoot back up to where she belongs. Over her goddamn 4-star counterpart. The other banner of Phase 2 is the return of the Incense Dealer / Emanator of Erudition, Lingsha. Lingsha is a Fire Erudition character released in version 2. Wait. Guys, I actually wrote Erudition character in my script. Oh my god. Lingsha is a Fire Abundance character released in version 2.5. She serves as the best healer for Break, which, in polite terms, is pretty damn useless. Let me explain. Despite Lingsha being incredibly powerful as a damage-dealing sustain, she doesn't actually appear much in Break teams anymore. Firefly benefits from her a lot since they're the same element, and Lingsha's consistent attacks can help lower toughness, but even then, not great. Break nowadays has become more reliant on the sustainless style of play, sacrificing that safety net of healing for more outright damage. Boothill is the biggest case of this, often utilizing Ron May and Fugue alongside an action advancer to get him even more turns in combat. Lingsha, while not a bad character by any means, simply doesn't matter as much for many Break players nowadays, especially with how weak the archetype was. Her main advantage also comes from supporting Break specifically, meaning other team types and scenarios, she gets outclassed heavily. Avon and DHPT are better for follow-up, Hyacinth is just better overall in terms of damage and healing, and even Gallagher is competitive as he fixes a core problem of Break, which is the heavy use of skill points by most characters. Lingsha has a lot of uniqueness to her, don't get me wrong, She can increase break damage taken, she can heal on skill and do damage, and she has a follow-up attack that also serves as an emergency heal when you need it. She is a good character, just not for the archetype at large right now. Ideally, she will serve incredibly well with the Dahlia, taking advantage of that free super break damage offered. You can also use Lingsha as your primary carry if you want. Her toughness reduction is lacking, but with the right support and maybe an Eidolon or two, this character has a fairly high potential to accomplish this. At the end of the day, as long as you like her, you can make her work. You should pull Lingsha if you want a break-centric healer, or you don't mind investing to make her more of a DPS character. Yeah, I wish I had more positive things to say about Lingsha, as I love her a lot, but she just doesn't hold up much right now. With the Dahlia, this will likely be a very different story, but even then, you would mainly want her along Firefly, and no one else. I hope I'm wrong about downplaying her here, but we're gonna have to wait and see. That ends the second phase banners, and I'm gonna be honest, viewers, the 4-star options are not worth discussing. Sampo, Arlen, and Natasha all have little use right now, and the only cone even worth considering is post-op conversation. I'll flash what it does on screen now, but yeah, the options besides that are bad or exceedingly mediocre. But Chris, Sampo is good with DOT if you have Hyslins and Kafka. A wet towel is good with DOT in that third slot. He's a mediocre character and heavily replaceable. I've been doing these Who You Should Pull videos for long enough to finally be sick of talking about the 4-stars, as we have received so little new stuff to talk about. Most characters also have suggested cones in-game that are fairly accurate, so touching on alternate options would be the main benefit of sections like this. Definitely not as much fun, but hey, at least we can fill this time slot with jokes, right? I'll let you know when I think of one. God. The final banner of version 3.8 will feature not more break characters, but instead the 2-character combo of the most fun Remembrance character, and the best support for Remembrance characters who aren't HP scaling. So, haha, one! Let's begin our talk with the Lady Goldweaver herself, Aglaea. Aglaea is a Lightning Remembrance character released in version 3.0. She stands as my personal favorite DPS in the game, and is an incredibly powerful one at that. Her entire gimmick is being Sonic the Hedgehog. She likes to decimate enemies as fast as possible, and accomplishes that by entering her ultimate state, Supreme Stance. When activated, she and the Garment Maker will become one, slashing foes for high amounts of damage at blistering speed. This state has a countdown, and it can only be reset by activating Ultimate again. A character unlike any other, you must manage her actions perfectly, needing enough energy and attacks to activate your ult before the countdown timer. If this happens, you'll drop Supreme Stance state, lose all your speed stacks, tanking your damage to absolutely nothing. While this character can be a complete pain in the ass, quite frankly, she's also extremely fun once you get the hang of her. There is one thing of note, however. She is substantially worse without Sunday and her E1, or without a full memo team for Cyrene. She does excel in 2 styles now, either with a conventional team of Sunday Robin, or with the new Cyrene team. I'll explain in a second, but this probably can and will affect how you should pull, and if you do it at all. You should pull Aglaea if you need a lightning DPS, and already have at least one good support for her. Quite frankly, Aglaea is a character who takes a lot of work to succeed. Most characters do, but her teammate flexibility is horrible to say the least. If you do not have either Sunday or Cyrene already on your accounts, or are not willing to invest, this is not the character for you. Lightning DPS across the board aren't very flexible, so that may suck to hear, but yeah, you won't find a better solution in Aglaea, that's for sure. Finally, our last character of the day, Sunday. Sunday is an Imaginary Harmony 5-star released in version 2.7. This video is getting long, so I'll keep this brief. If you have an attack scaling DPS, you should get Sunday. If you have Boot Hill, you can also get Sunday. He's by far the best action advancer in the game, and is compatible with most good characters including Anexa, Jingyuan, Saber, Aglaea, Mighty, Blade, Fei Xiao, Fainan, and Jingliu. He restores energy, grants crit rate, and gives a good damage boost to characters, increasing to a massive damage boost if you have a summon. Characters capable of using the DHPT Sunday combo to gain that massive free damage boost will be especially grateful for Sunday. He will likely keep being a good character into the distant future, so there's no harm in grabbing him even if he doesn't seem to be the most helpful right now. Your account will thank you regardless. Jesus, that's all the characters done now. We can now move on to our last section. Starting in the last poll video, I've begun doing Eidolon sections at the end, and I'll be continuing today. Investment has become much more important to enjoying Star Rail to the fullest, so I'll be going through every character we've talked about and telling you how worthwhile low-level investment is, as well as quick notes about light cones if I feel it's necessary. It'll probably be necessary. With that said, let's start from the top with Firefly. Firefly light cone is a fine bonus, but if you really want the most bang for your buck, E2 is the way to go. However, that doesn't make E1 bad. E1 makes it so that you never use skill points when in your ult form, and you ignore 15% of the target's defense, which can stack with other sources to be a way higher number. I personally find Firefly light cone is good compared to just E1, but if you want to get E2 on her next run, E1 is definitely worthy of picking up now. Next up is Fugue. Fugue has one of the best early Eidolon combos in the game. E1 is a massive boost to any break DPS, granting a 50% increase in break efficiency. This is already incredible, but then we have her E2. Her E2 grants her additional energy and will advance ally actions when she uses her ult. There is no contest here on what to do. If you want to invest in your break team at all, get E1 Fugue right now and E2 Fugue next rerun. This is by far the best investment you can make right now after getting the Dahlia. When it comes to Lingsha, her cone is okay, but if you are a Battle Pass buyer, Luocha cone in the shop is a seemingly great alternative actually. It works very well for her, so instead, I would look at her E1. It increases her personal break efficiency by 50% and decreases the defense of weakness broken enemies by 20%. Very helpful for a break team, and pretty essential if you want to be a DPS Lingsha user. Onto the final banner, Aglaea is an interesting case. Her E1 and light cone are both amazing for her. She has no good alternatives, but her E1 also makes her a bit more flexible. I personally say grab her light cone and put her on energy regen rope. If you can get E1, this is by far one of the best value Eidolons for a DPS, so if you can get both, you will not regret it. Last but not least, Sunday. Sunday's light cone is one of the best in the game, so that should be your priority, no questions asked. If you have it already, his E1 is fantastic for specifically Jingyuan and Aglaea, and it's pretty good for everyone else. Offering defense shred to the ally he enhances, this is a nice additional damage boost that can end up being very helpful in the grand scheme of things. It's just absolutely not worth it over his light cone. With the investment section done, we are all wrapped up for today. These have taken a bit more work recently, but I still enjoy them a lot, and I hope you all do too. Let me know who you'll be pulling for coming up, or if you need any more advice in the comments below. I've got plenty more good videos coming out soon, so I will see you guys then. Bye-bye! So hey, real quick, I completely forgot to talk about the 4 stars available on the Aglaea and Sunday banner, so long story short, get Tingyun, she's really good for quite a few characters, mainly Anexa and Finon. Also, pull on the light cone banner, it contains DDD, which advances ally actions up to 24%. It is one of the best light cones in the game, you will probably need it at some point. That's it, I was not going to go back and have to edit that into the script already, I'm done. Pull Fugue.